I thought tonight would be like any other family dinner, but when I walked into Marcello's, something felt off. And it wasn't just the food. I'd always been the one to show up, the one who put everyone first, because that's what family does, right? You sacrifice, you give, you make sure everyone's happy, but tonight that was all about to change. Every dinner with them felt like a battle, and I'd lost every time. My sister, Monica, the queen of our family, would always be in charge. No one dared challenge her, not even me. I'd been the one who funded her wedding, bailed out Tyler when he couldn't pay rent, sent my parents money every month to help them make ends meet, all while they treated me like I was invisible, or worse, like I was only good when I was useful. Tonight, though, I wasn't just showing up, I was done. I'd spent years trying to prove my worth to them, trying to earn their love. But when I walked into that restaurant and saw where they'd put me at a table so far from them it could have been in another universe, I knew I wasn't their family. Not really. Not anymore. I should have left right then. I could have walked out, told them to go to hell, but instead, I stayed. Because tonight I was going to show them what happens when you take someone for granted one too many times. Tonight, I was going to make them regret ever treating me this way. If you've ever been pushed to the edge by the ones you thought you could trust the most, hit that subscribe button. You're not alone. Let's see where this goes. I've always been the one to lend a hand, to cover bills, to pick up the pieces, while they carried on with their lives. Every time someone in the family had a crisis, I was the one who stepped in. The wedding Monica couldn't afford, I paid for it. The car repair Tyler begged for when his broke down, I covered that too. And when my parents needed help making their mortgage payments after Dad retired, that was on me. I didn't think twice. It was just what I did for family, but every time I did, I saw the same pattern. They took and took, but never once did I hear a thank you. And it wasn't just the money, it was the emotional toll. I was there for every drama, every small victory, and every failure, but they never saw me, not truly, not the way I saw them. Then came Monica's text at 4 p.m. It was simple, to the point. Family dinner tonight at Marcello's, 7 p.m., you're coming. No asking, no hope you can make it, just a command. That's how it always was with her. She made decisions for everyone, and I was supposed to show up when she called. No questions asked. No matter what I had planned, no matter how many times she'd let me down before, I rearranged my life for her. I was always the good sister, the one who kept things together. I always showed up. Marcello's wasn't just another restaurant. It was one of those fancy places where the prices are hidden, and if you have to ask, you can't afford it. The kind of place that makes you feel small just by walking in. I'd been here once before for a business dinner, and I could barely stomach the price tag on my client's steak. But this wasn't a business dinner. This was family. And as I walked into the restaurant, my stomach dropped. I saw them all sitting at the best table by the window, laughing, chatting, comfortable. They looked like they belonged there. And then I saw the empty chair next to my mom. I walked toward them, ready to settle in, but before I could sit down, Monica shot her hand out and stopped me. "Oh, sweetie, no, this table is for family," she said, flashing a smile that I knew all too well. A smile that never reached her eyes. "We saved you a spot over there." She pointed to a small 2-seater table, wedged between the kitchen doors and the server station. The kind of table that tells you everything you need to know about where you stand in the family, not at the table where they were all laughing, not at the table where the real family sat. I froze. I couldn't even look at them. My mother stared into her wine glass like it held all the answers, and my father pretended to be engrossed in his menu. Tyler, at least, looked uncomfortable. Jessica. She raised her eyebrows like she couldn't care less. Monica, with that smile on her face, looked pleased. She was in control. And me, I wasn't even good enough to sit at the family table. My place? Well, it was by the kitchen, far from where the real family shared their joy. So I sat there, alone. My heart heavy with the realization that maybe, just maybe, I'd spent my whole life trying to buy their love, but they never saw me for who I was, not as a person, just as a tool to fix their problems. And that was the moment I realized I was done. I could walk away, but walking away meant letting them get away with it. Again. I'd spent my whole life walking away from things, sweeping my anger under the rug for the sake of keeping the peace. But this time, something in me snapped. Sitting there at that table, surrounded by the laughter and luxury that I'd funded, I couldn't keep pretending I didn't care. For once, I wanted to make them see me, truly see me. I wasn't just some endless ATM for their every whim. I was their sister, their daughter, their family, and I was tired of being treated like a ghost. Maybe I wasn't looking for justice. Maybe I just wanted to make them feel the way they'd made me feel all these years, small, insignificant, invisible. I wanted them to understand that their actions had consequences. Every time they'd asked for money, every time they'd used me as their emotional punching bag, it had taken a piece of me. And now they were sitting at that table, acting like nothing had changed. They were laughing and eating like they'd earned all of it, like I didn't exist outside of the check they expected me to write. But as I sat there, the doubt crept in. If I did this, if I stood up and confronted them, what would happen next? Would they finally see what they'd done to me? Or would they just throw it back in my face like they always did? The thought of them mocking me, shaming me, made my stomach churn. But the thought of letting it slide, of letting them walk all over me again, that was worse. I had to make a choice. And as much as I hated to admit it, the part of me that wanted to burn it all down was getting louder. I was at a crossroads. Stay quiet, walk away, or make them pay for what they'd done. And in that moment, the choice was clear. I had one chance to make them feel what I'd felt for years. But what if it didn't work? What if I was just making things worse? I wasn't sure, but for the first time in my life, I didn't care. I wasn't going to be their doormat anymore. I stood up, heart pounding, and walked toward the table where they were all gathered. Monica, Derek, my parents, even Tyler. Everyone had their eyes on me now. I could feel the weight of their gaze, like they were already preparing their judgment. But I was done. No more covering for them. No more being their ATM. I wasn't going to sit at the table where they treated me like a second-class citizen. I was going to make them face the consequences of what they had done, of how they'd taken me for granted for years. When the waiter came with the check, I didn't hesitate. "I'm not paying for this," I said, my voice steady but colder than I felt. "I ordered a salad. That's $12. That's all I'm paying for. The rest is on you." The room fell silent. My family exchanged looks. Monica opened her mouth to speak, but I cut her off. "No, this isn't your special night anymore. This is about time I stopped letting you use me." There was a moment of stillness, then chaos erupted. Derek stood up, his face red with anger. "Are you kidding me?" he spat. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us." I could feel my blood boiling, but I wasn't backing down. "Done for me? You've never done anything for me. You've asked for everything, and I've given it all. Loans, bills, your mistakes. And this is how you repay me? Like I don't matter?" My voice was louder now, shaking but firm. But as I spoke, something inside me faltered. This wasn't just about the money. It wasn't about revenge. It was about feeling invisible. And as the tension in the air thickened, a nagging doubt crept in. Was this really for me, or was I just hurting them back for all the years I'd let them walk all over me? I thought standing up for myself would feel like victory, but all I felt was emptiness. Is this what I really wanted? I thought. To burn bridges with everyone I've ever loved? Was I seeking justice or just trying to make them hurt like I have? As Derek shouted, my parents looked on in silence, their faces masks of disappointment. Tyler, at least, had the decency to look uncomfortable, but I could see the doubt in his eyes, too. I had crossed a line. There was no going back. I'd told them off, but it wasn't satisfying like I'd thought. It was just hollow. Did I really just do that? Had I finally become the person I never wanted to be? Someone willing to destroy the last bit of family I had left? The moment I turned around, the weight of my actions hit me full force. The room was still, the only sound the clinking of silverware against plates. Derek was still standing, his face red with anger. "You think this is funny, Camilla? You think you can just walk in here and ruin everything for us?" His voice was harsh, cutting through the tense air. But it wasn't just Derek. Monica, her eyes wide with disbelief, hissed, "You're so selfish. After everything we've done for you—" She couldn't even finish the sentence. I could see it in her face. She couldn't believe I'd done this. She was more outraged than shocked, more hurt than sorry. And my parents? My mother, never one for confrontation, barely looked up from her wine glass, but the look she gave me said everything. "You should be ashamed of yourself, Camila," she whispered, her voice laced with disappointment. The words stung more than I expected because I knew she wasn't talking about the money or the bill. She was talking about me, the person, the daughter who had always been there, always taken care of things, but now the daughter who had dared to say no. My father's silence was the worst of it. He just stared at me, his face expressionless, a disappointment too deep to express. It was done. I'd broken the unspoken rule of our family. I had crossed the line that we all knew existed but never talked about. And now, as I sat there, the sense of vindication I'd expected to feel wasn't there. Instead, it was replaced with an overwhelming emptiness. I had gotten my revenge, but it wasn't satisfying. It wasn't sweet. It was just hollow. I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd feel stronger. I thought making them feel the way they'd made me feel would give me power. But all I felt was loneliness. The cost of revenge was heavier than I imagined. I'd never been more isolated in my life. It wasn't just that they had turned on me, it was that I had destroyed something that could never be rebuilt. Was I justified in what I did? Was this really what I needed? I had no answers, no clarity. Just the aching realization that maybe revenge wasn't the answer. Maybe I had hurt myself more than I had hurt them. And as I sat there, in the midst of the family that was supposed to love me, I realized the most painful truth. I'd sacrificed my relationship with them to make a point, and now there was nothing left. I wasn't sure if I'd made the right choice, but I was sure of one thing. I couldn't go back. Was my anger justified? Was the pain I'd inflicted worth the temporary satisfaction? Only time would tell. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd done something irreversible. I had stood up for myself, yes, but in the process, I'd lost everything. At first, there was a part of me that felt victorious. I had finally done what I'd been too scared to do for years. I had made them see me. But as the days passed, the victory felt more like a hollow shell than anything substantial. It wasn't the sense of power I had imagined. Instead, there was a deep, gnawing emptiness. I thought making them pay would make me feel whole, but it only made the hole deeper. Sitting in my apartment, the silence was deafening. I stared at my phone, seeing the unread messages and the notifications from family members. Each one was another reminder of the destruction I had caused. But it wasn't just the family, it was me. I had spent so much time trying to fix them, trying to make them care, that I had forgotten to fix myself. I had hoped revenge would heal the wounds I had carried for so long, but it had only reopened them. I realized then that no amount of revenge would ever fill the void they had left. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't thought I could do. I opened my social media accounts and started deleting. Every photo, every post, every connection that tied me to them, gone. It was a symbolic step, but it felt like the first real decision I'd made for myself in years. I blocked them all. Monica, my parents, Tyler, even Derek, the leech. I wasn't doing this to punish them anymore. I was doing it to reclaim my life. I wasn't going to fix them. I needed to fix myself. The weight lifted, but only slightly. I still couldn't shake the feeling of regret, of wondering if I had taken it too far. Had I made the right choice? Was it too late for me to heal? Could I ever rebuild the relationships I had just torn apart? Or had I already crossed a line that couldn't be undone? I didn't have the answers, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going back. The old me, the one who kept giving, who kept sacrificing, was gone. And now, I had to figure out who I was without them. Was it too late for Camilla to heal? Could she rebuild the trust she had lost with her family? Only time would tell. I didn't know what I expected when I finally reached out. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could begin to repair what I had broken. I sent Monica a message, short and simple. I know I hurt you, but I'm sorry. I never wanted to destroy our family. I hope you can understand where I was coming from. It felt like the first honest thing I'd said in a long time. But when she responded, I knew immediately that my apology wasn't going to fix anything. "You think a text makes it better?" she shot back. "After everything you've done, you don't get to just walk in and apologize and expect it to be okay. You betrayed all of us, Camilla. You've made your bed. Now lie in it." Derek wasn't much better. "You've always been the problem, you know that? Always trying to be the good sister, the good daughter, but when the chips are down, you're just as selfish as the rest of us. I'm done with you." His words cut deeper than I cared to admit. I had expected some resistance, but not this. I had hoped for understanding, a crack in the walls that would let me in. But all I got was more rejection. I sat there for hours after that, staring at my phone, reading the messages over and over. My family's anger was as familiar as it was cold. I had been the one who had always held everything together, the one who had tried to make them see me as part of the family, as worthy of being loved. But in the end, it wasn't them who needed to change. It was me. I had spent years trying to earn their love, trying to prove my worth through sacrifices, only to end up empty. Maybe I wasn't meant to be their hero. Maybe I was just meant to be my own. So I let the silence sit. I didn't send another message. I didn't call. It wasn't about their forgiveness anymore. It was about me learning to forgive myself. I had broken the cycle. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting for them to fix me. I was fixing myself. It didn't feel like closure. It didn't feel like everything was okay. The apology was left unresolved, hanging in the air like a thread that never quite got pulled tight. But I knew something had shifted in me. I didn't need them to change. I needed to change. And that was the first step in healing. It's strange, looking back now. I spent so much time trying to make others see me, to make them understand my worth. But in the end, the only person whose approval I needed was my own. It wasn't about being good enough for them. It was about being good enough for me. For so long, I had defined my value through the eyes of my family, through their demands and expectations. But when I stopped looking for their validation, that's when I started to see myself clearly. I wasn't just someone who existed to fix their problems. I was a person, deserving of peace and respect. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had found my own voice. The biggest lesson I've learned through all of this, I'm not the villain in their story. I'm the heroine of mine. For so many years, I thought I had to play the role of the family fixer, the one who sacrificed everything for everyone else. But I've realized that I'm not obligated to carry that weight anymore. The manipulation, the guilt, the constant giving, it all ended when I decided I was done. So now I'm rebuilding. I'm not sure what's next with my family. Maybe things will heal, maybe they won't. But I've stopped waiting for their approval to feel whole. I'm creating a life where I'm the priority. Do we ever truly forgive those who hurt us? Or do we just learn to live without them? That's a question I still don't have answer to. But I do know this: the person I was waiting to forgive was myself. If you found yourself in a similar struggle, or you've ever had to walk away from someone who never appreciated you, hit that subscribe button. Let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear your story.